All right, this might be a hot take, but I've been listening to the new audiobook. Well, not new audiobook, but the audiobook White Cargo from some people that made this book. And this book is graphic. It's graphic just hearing the depth of history that was so swept over. Like the, I don't call them White or Albion or whatever, but these people from England were on some like, I knew how Australia was formed with some criminal stuff. But I know the depth of it. It's kind of like Chernobyl. Like you knew it's bad, but you know how bad it was, right? And it's like it's just so crazy. We're just like under aware of the depth of American history, with like England and how they have these contracts like iTunes agreements, and basically you're a slave for some years. And they treated everyone bad. And according to the book, white people were the first slaves. I'm like, I've heard this narrative said from like more history and Islamic history. And I'm like, I've heard, even Yaqub. I've heard these stories said in multiple ways, but like this is more like recently tangible, and it's like proof, and it's like when we look at like Prince of Persia and other like Lawrence of Arabia, it's so whitewashed, right? But when we look at slavery, it's all blackwash. You don't really see like the white slavery kind of thing. And it's neat to just hear the depth of like how much Europe was like the UK, was like a trash can of like of criminals. Like to have that much crime going on. Like New York has stop and frisk. That's within 5 years. But like this shit going on in like Europe back then was apparently like they just had to create, traps to get you in church twice a day to make sure you following the rules and stuff. And like it's basically China in a weird way. I mean, it's like you got to check in on church. And I'm just amazed at hearing the depth of how much. I'm only like 2 chapters in, and it's a lot of slavery, a lot of backstabbing, and color really wasn't a thing like that during this time. Apparently, like my understanding is King George was black, and George Washington was black. I mean, apparently a lot of people were melanated and won't even hear that part of the story. It's hard to even put your finger on that. Like Jesus was black. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to put your finger on it, but apparently it's a thing, right? So amongst all that, I'm still like amazed at like this the level of backstabbing and shitty contracts. It's like you hear a thing in the news now with someone get the shitty 360 deal and they can't do shit. It's the same thing for like 7 years back in the day. And like these are like vagabonds, like the worst of the worst. And not to mention, if you're not bad on some black shit now, it's like you just loiter on the corner chilling. You get caught up. Like you couldn't even pick up food from the forest because everything is communal. Like to know you can't even eat unless it's in a group. That's intense. You know what I'm saying? This was a normal time, apparently going on for quite a while. And I'm like, oh, that's wild. So I'm trying to build this thing up like doing book reviews. Previously, what I just did was Behold a Pale Horse. That's its own asterisk of a story by William Cooper. I learned that much. But I'm currently in the audiobook of White Cargo. And it's pretty insightful read. Uh, yeah, I'm learning stuff, and I got more to go. It's like a 12-hour book more or less. So I'm impressed. I want to tell this in a proper narrative. I guess my juice is flowing to like recreate this in a more like Hollywood format because it's some neat history. You can't repeat yourself, and this is not doing it justice to like to say niggas were slaves and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so much more layers to it. And I remember hearing vague parts like Algonquins getting conquered in Virginia and Roanoke and Sir Walter Riley, which I've heard said sparsely from a variety of people in life, not knowing how monumental they were to our history or how skewed the story really is. And like they were struggling. You know what I'm saying? There were some criminals, a lot of people that just fucked up, just really fucked up on multiple fronts, carrying this whole marketing campaign to basically like rebrand this stuff and like alleviate the tension on like European jails. And I'm like, damn, like scurvy and shit. Like it's just crazy. So, review part one. I'm gonna call it a wrap right here. I'm gonna keep them short and sweet. But this is just 2 chapters, and I'm like, yo, wow, this is intense. So I encourage you to check it out. It's a neat book. It's neat in audio format too. And yeah, learn some cool stuff. Peace.